So I'm just writing the code. Whenever we are using a file reader, some fr equals new file reader. So this will take what object? File object. So for that, let me also have a file some f equals new file of some file path in double quotes, C drive, double backward slash or single forward slash. Anything is fine. You can cross check it. Some desktop is my folder. Then in that, some file called some abc.txt. I hope you know this. So there is a file here and we are reading the content from the file. So for that, yesterday when I'm executing this one, we are getting -1, -1, -1, right? So what is the approach to read by using a file reader is, so by using this file reader object called fr dot read method. If you remember, the return type of this read method is what? Integer. The return type integer, it is by default will return -1. It will return -1. So because the return type is integer, so we need to store this into some integer variable of programmer choice. Yeah. Then what is the meaning of this -1? When the return type is integer and the return value is -1, means there is no content. There is no content in the file. That's what the purpose of it, meaning of it. But we have to print when the content is available. We have to stop when there is no content is available. So for that, we will be using one while loop. Why not for loop? Because do we know how much content is there? In a file, we can't guess it. There will be some 1,000 characters. Do we exactly know it's a 1,000 count? We don't know. But we know starting will be first character. Then ending will be something else. That is where we'll be using a while loop is the best scenario. So then while this x value, what's the meaning of not equals to -1 means? If it is equal to -1, there is no content. Not equal to -1 means some content is there. That's what we have to print it. What do you have to print? System.out.println, print that x. Yeah. But so here is one more important point also. Whenever you're printing x is what type? X is what type? Int type, right? But we have to print that integer value or we have to print that character. For example, ABCD is there in the file. Then x is nothing but A's ASCII value. Yeah. But we have to print that ASCII value or we have to print the letter. Print the letter. That is nothing but we have to convert this into char type casting, which we discussed in for loop somewhere. Correct? So this is the purpose. Once we print the first character, then what the read method has to do? The same fr dot read method. We have to read the next character. Read method will read only one character at one time. That's after printing previous character, read the next content or next letter and assign back to same variable x only, which is already defined as int type. Then again check it. If it is not equal to -1, then print. As long as it is equals to not equals to -1, this loop will keep on running. That means the entire content from the file we can see in the output. Yeah, so this one I missed yesterday. By using file reader, we'll discuss buffer reader also. Is this one is clear? So parallelly, I'll go for execution also. We have yesterday's program. Quickly, I'll switch this to our workspace. Yeah, read method default, not default value. When there is no content, it will return -1. I'll show you. You're right. Asking who is default. I didn't understand the question. Yeah, so here, I remember this is our project. In this SRC, I create one package called files. In this files, we have taken one file called as file demo. Yeah, understand, man. So what is the point is, let me erase this code first. Only the file reader directly path. What is the content present in this july.txt? Let us open and check. On desktop, I have a folder. Inside this one, there is a files. Inside this July. So in this, we have some content called this is files class and all those things, right? Yeah. So from this content, for what we have to print? We have to print that entire content, correct? So for printing, we have for reading, we have a file reader class. Then fr dot, which method for reading? Read method. So read methods, there are different versions. You can read integer, read method which returns integer. Every read method, if you observe, all return types are integers only. Yeah. So read of character buffer, or read character array. So first read method I'm using. So what's return type? Int type. Therefore, int some variable you have to use to catch it. So whenever we are getting some content, we have to cross check. For printing entire content, we are using a loop. That x value integer format. So I'm comparing that it should not be -1. Why -1? By default, if there is no content in the file, read method will return -1. If content is there, then it will return some other values. That's why -1 is a default return value of read method when there is no content. But once content is there, then it is not -1. So therefore, print that x. We will see what is that. Okay. So let me save it. Let me execute Control F11. Did we get anything? Yeah, so there is no control for the loop, and at the same time, it is keep on printing 84, 84, 84. What is our first letter in the file? Did you remember? D is there in july.java. Some T, I think. Yeah, T. Is ASCII value of T is 84? Yes, it's 84. Small capital A 65, capital Z 90. Correct? Then in that T is a sixth letter before 90, which is 84, correct only. Now, because there is no control for the loop is not terminating because only one character it is reading and always that is not equal to -1. Therefore, it's keep on happening. And so I am forcefully stopping this execution, terminated. So then what is the next thing to do? Don't print this X. What you have to do? Do the typecasting of character type and print that character. Still, I did not control the loop, but I am executing once again Control F11. You can see what is printing. T is printing. So I'll go for termination. How do we read the next character? Same approach. Fr dot read method. So by default, it will read only one character. And when we use once again, second time when you are using, it will go and read the next character. So that character, to check the loop, again we are assigning back to X variable. It's already defined as int type. So now let us execute the program. You can see what is that? This is files class. We use writers to write the content into files from Java. We use readers to read the content from file into Java. That's the same program, but it is a character after character. It is printed. Okay. So where is that new line and all? Again, we have to add some conditions so that we can see the appropriate output also. You can see. I'm using a print approach. Previously println, now it's a print, that's all. So this is by using file reader. How do we read the content from the file? Clear? Y int, y -1. Any questions or is it clear? Online, please. So here I written the same statements here. What is that? Fr dot read method, return type is integer. Its return value is -1 by default when there is no content. When there is a content, we'll get that ASCII value. For example, we have seen already 84 is the value of T we are printing. So, but if you print only x84, but we want the character format of that ASCII value. That's why typecasting called char type. Then whenever we are reading this content by using read method, it will read first character of the file and it assign to this x variable. So if you are using read one more time, it goes to second character. Then one more time, third character. So that loop is taking care of that. So first character, then second character, third character, fourth character, fifth character, like that. Once it reaches to the last, then it becomes -1. So it is not equals to -1 will fail at the last situation. Therefore, loop will terminate. That's what we are doing. And this is the approach. But using print, see, using print when it goes to next line, when there is a empty. See here, if I go to file, I am asking you one simple question. Can you please tell me? After this, no content or next line? After first line, whenever we are typing something, now if I type enter, that means there is a next character, correct? But after typing something, I stopped it. That means no content. Yeah, even that is identified. So after this, in next line it is there. Therefore, default the print itself will go to the next line. The read method will take care about that, and a default that will read something space or new line escape sequence and all. So which we are unable to see here. You got my simple logical answer, right? In first line at this point of time, wherever my cursor is blinking, that means after that nothing is there. There is a next line. There is a next line, correct? Now if I place my cursor at the last, that means that's the end or there is a next line. That's the end. So therefore, that's how it is. It will be identified. Whenever we press enter, that's also one action. So that action also will be having some ASCII value internally. So that internally ASCII value means a new line in character. That's how it is. Yeah. Thank you. Good question. So this is about the file reader story. Understood? Next one, buffered reader. The same code. First file reader, then some fr equals the new file reader and file path, everything we are giving. Then followed by file reader disadvantage is, our limitation is it will read only one character. But to read a line, we can use a buffer reader. Buffer reader, some br equals new buffered reader of file reader object, because buffer reader can't communicate directly. It definitely needs file buffer writer needs file writer. Buffer reader needs file reader. Otherwise, it will not work. Then, by using this buffer reader to read a line, so br dot read line is method. Read line is a method. Yeah. What this read line will return? The return type of this readline method is string. Yeah. If there is a content, if there is some content, then we can store it into some string variable. If there is no content, then what's return type? String default value null. When this null will return, the method readline will return null when there is no content. When there is no content. Correct? So then how to control the loop? The file has multiple lines, some 100 lines, let us assume. Then to read each and every line, we have to use the while loop. Because we know starting, we don't know ending. Then yes, what's the comparison? What's the meaning of null? End of the file, right? Then it's supposed to be not null. Yes, not equals to null. So null is a default value of a string. We should not use double quotes. It's a predefined keyword. Okay. So then inside this what you have to print? System.out.println, print that string. Some content for the first time or first line will be given to this yes. So after printing, read next line also. Then for that, again use br object dot read line method. Then assign back to yes only. Therefore, next line will be assigned. Then cross checking, is it null or not? Then if it is not null, print and then assign the next line. Then again cross check, not null. So till not null, the loop will happen. Once it is null, the loop will be terminated. So this is what the buffer reader approach. So let us implement the same thing to the previous code. So after this previous thing, same file I am using, but next one. So first I'll remove this code. So buffered reader control space import, then br equals new control space fr is the object to be passed. Yeah, so then br dot which method? Read line method to read the line. Then this read line method, if you just notice there, what's the return type? Returns a string. It returns a string, correct? That's why we have to store it by using string type some variable of programmer choice. Then for printing the entire content of the file while reading, so we have to check that it is not equals to null. If it is not null, then print the current line which is there in yes. Or more clearly means, if you want, I'll take a line. This is the current line, first line. Print line. Then after printing this, read once again. So in place of this yes also, I have to give line only. So after printing the first one, then read the next line. How to read it? Br dot read line method once again. Then assign it back to same variable called line only. That's it. Let me save it. Before I execute, I go to file, then I add some dummy content for multiple lines. Save it, then back to file. Now execute this. You can see it's the same thing. Whatever there is in the file, entire thing is read. And how the loop is terminated? Once the read line control reaches to the last, that means nothing is there, returns null, therefore loop will be stopped. So this is the approach to read the content by using file reader and also by using a buffer reader. Am I clear? Or any questions? Any of you? Any questions, please? Here, if you are using print, then wherever there is a control is there, it will go. This is printing everything in one single line only. Yeah. So the internal mechanism will take care whenever we are printing by using print reader, file reader, but buffer reader, println. That's where it will read a line. It's already reading line by line only. That's why the cursor has to go to next line once it is over with the first line. Now it will give the correct output. Any questions, guys?